Brachos Daf Chav Beis concerns itself almost entirely with the halacha of a Balkari, somebody who had a seminal emission, as to whether or not he's allowed to learn words of Torah and Tefillah. So the Gemara will bring a number of different opinions as to what he is or is not allowed to do. The Gemara will also discuss a number of different methods of purification from Keri. They range from going into a mikvah of 40 sa, to going into 9 kavan of water, to having 9 kavan of water poured on one's head. You could also have other combinations of this, such as having 40 sa poured on one's head, or going into mayim she'uvin of a certain amount, or going into water which is in a kli. Gemara will discuss all the different options. Now we're in the middle of a discussion of Rabbi Yehuda's shita. The Gemara had just proven that Rabbi Yehuda holds that one is not allowed to say words of kedusha if one has keri and hasn't been to the mikvah. The Gemara wants to know how come therefore Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishnah, which we had previously, holds that one is allowed to say a bracha before food and bracha after food. So Gemara tries to say that Rabbi Yehuda didn't really mean you should say it. Rabbi Yehuda just meant you should think the words. Gemara says it's not true. We have a brisa which explicitly says that Rabbi Meir says you should speak out the bracha achrona, which is our Mishnah's shita, and Rabbi Yehuda clearly says he should speak out with his mouth the bracha before and after. So it can't be that he's just supposed to think the words. Back to our question. So the Gemara says, because Rabbi Yehuda compares bracha with halachos of respect, the ways of the world, what we call hilchos derech eretz. And the Gemara now quotes a number of different opinions as to what one is allowed to say and not allowed to say if one has keri, and it's a long brisa which has a number of opinions, which one as follows. The brisa says we learn out of Haidatam Levanecha V'Livnei Vanecha, which is the pasuk that discusses teaching Torah, which is put next to Yemesh Armad Lefnei Hashem L'Kacha B'Chayrev Har Sinai. Just like over there, you could not have keri, so too when one is learning or teaching, one cannot have keri. Gemara links the two for another reason. They're supposed to be approached with awe and fear and trembling and sweating, a tremendous sense of respect and awe. And then the Gemara discusses the different opinions for keri. So the first opinion is the Tanakama, who says that somebody who's about keri is usher in all types of learning. The Gemara lists Torah Nevi'im, Ksuvin, Mishnah, Gemara, Halacha, Agada. Rabbi Yossi says he's allowed to learn everything, including Mishnayos, regularly. He just should not go deep into Mishnayos. Rabbi Yonasan ben Yosef says he can go deep into Mishnah, can't go deep into Gemara. Rabbi Nasan ben Avshalom says he can even go deep into Gemara, but he should not mention Gemara. By the way, Rashi says throughout the daf, whenever we say Gemara, refers to Medrash. He should not mention the psukim that are discussed in the Medrash. Rabbi Yochanan Asandler, Talmud Rabbi Kiva, says he should not discuss any midrashim at all. And some say, another opinion, he should not even step into the base Medrash. Rabbi Yehuda's opinion, this is what we're trying to get to, is he's allowed to learn hilchos derech eretz. Therefore, is answering his question to say that we equate berachas and mazon with these halachos. Now the Gemara quotes an incident where Rabbi Yehuda was walking along a river, and the Talmidim said to teach us something from hilchos derech eretz. Everybody knew at the time that he was a Baal Keri. So the Gemara says he went down into the mikvah for tefillah, and then he taught them. They said, "What do you mean? You said that you're allowed to teach these halachos even without going to the mikvah for keri." He said, "Yeah, that's what I paskin, but for myself, I'm machmir on it extra." The Gemara now brings an opinion that does not hold of the entire keri business at all. It's Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. He says divrei Torah are not mekabel tumah; they're compared to fire. Fire is not mekabel tumah. The Brisa quotes an incident where a Talmud was trying to mumble his way through the words because he was about keri, and Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira said, "Don't worry about it. You can say the words. Torah is not mekabel tumah. Keri is not a problem." The Gemara will ultimately conclude that that's the halacha. Now, the Gemara quotes a number of other opinions here. Rabbi Eloi, who says, similar to what we saw before, that he's allowed to learn Mishnayos in depth, but not Gemara in depth. The Gemara brings another brisa, which seems to quote these three opinions. The Gemara has one shita, which is Rabbi Meir, that says, like we just said, Rabbi Eloi, that he could say Mishnah deeply, but not Gemara. Yehuda ben Gamliel, in the name of Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel, who says he's not allowed to do anything, not Mishnah, not Gemara. That's like the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan Asandler. and the opinion that everything is mutter, and that's like the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, which we just saw that Direi Torah not makabel tuma, you don't have to worry about any of these things. So we have these three primary shitas: everything's mutter, everything's aser, and some things are mutter, some things aren't. There's a number of different levels as to what they are. And the Gemara takes a bit of a detour here and quotes Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, who says that the halacha is like three elders in three halachas. The halacha is like Rabbi Eloi, that Reishis Hageiz, the mitzvah of giving the first shearings of sheep to a kahanim, only applies in Chutz La'aretz. The halacha is like Rabbi Yeshaya as far as kelayim, which is the isser to plant different species together, that it's only if you have seeds of different types of plants, like wheat and barley together with grapeseed in one handful, and you're spreading them together mixed amongst each other. And the Lachas Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira in this sugya that Torah is not mekabel tuma, and you're allowed to say words of Torah even if one is about carry. Still trying to figure out the halacha here. The Gemara quotes Zeiri, who says that they canceled Tevila. The Gemara has another version that says, no, they canceled Netila. If they canceled Tefila, he's holding like Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, there's no Tefila for carry. If they canceled Netila, he's holding like Rabbi Chizda, who said that a person is not allowed to go around looking for water. Netila is not needed for words of Kedusha. The Gemara here introduces the possibility that there is a lenient way to accomplish this Tefila. The Gemara quotes a brisa that says that if you put 9 kavin of water upon somebody, it accomplishes the same Tevila, the purification from Keri. The Gemara quotes an interesting way that this was reported. Nachamesh Gamzu whispered it to Rabbi Akiva, who whispered it to Ben Azai, who went out and taught it to the Talmidim. The Gemara has different versions as to whether he announced it or he whispered it to the students. According to the opinion that he announced it is because he wanted people to know this leniency so that they would not withhold themselves from learning, because they were afraid that they didn't have Tefillah, and they would not withhold themselves from the mitzvah of Pirya Verivya, populating the world, because they were holding themselves back from being together with their wives because they were afraid they would not have a mikvah. Now, the opinion that says that he whispered it is because he didn't want to publicize it too much, because he was afraid Talmidei Chachamim would be with their wives too much, and we don't want that. Talmidei Chachamim should be like chickens. Still trying to find the halach over here. The Gemara quotes Rabbi Yanai, who says that I heard that people are makel on this, and I'm saying that anybody who's machmer on it, he will have extra long days and extra long years. The Gemara quotes Rabbi Shua ben Levi, who brings up 2 questions as to how this tefillah works. He says he's not sure if one needs to go into 40 sa or tes kavin, 9 kavin. He's not sure if one needs to go into the water or if the water could be poured on him. Gemara quotes Rabbi Chanina, who says that a tremendous thing was accomplished by this rule of going to the mikveh. He quotes an incident where somebody propositioned a woman to do an aveira with him, and she said, hey, do you have mikveh to go to afterwards? And he realized he didn't, so he didn't do the aveira. So it accomplished a lot. The Gemara quotes a machlokes whether or not you're allowed to use hot water for this tefillah. Rav Huna told one of the chachamim, if you're afraid that not to do the tefillah because the water's too cold, you can use the bathhouse hot water, and Rav Chizda said you can't. The Gemara says Rav Ada bar Ava agreed with that. The Gemara quotes that Rabbi Zera was sitting in a barrel of water, and he told his servant to bring me 9 kavin of water and pour it over me. The Gemara said, what was the point of that? If he's already sitting in the barrel of water, why does he need someone to pour water on his head? So the Gemara answers that he held the following thing. 40 sa is in a mikvah. It does not help to pour it. 9 kavin, only pouring works. Sitting in it does not help. The Gemara now gets into a machlokes as to who this 9 kavin works for and who is required to even do 9 kavin. There are 3 levels over here. There is somebody who is sick, and then there's the question of, did he have a seminal emission on purpose as part of relations with his wife, or did it happen by accident? So the Gemara notes that Rav Nachman set up a special vessel in the yeshiva for people to be able to use before they got an aliyah. So the Gemara says that Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yehuda noted that it was useless because the 9 kavin only helps for somebody who's sick and had an emission by accident. It doesn't work for somebody who had it on purpose, so it's rare. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yosef said, this breaks Rav Nachman's special vessel. The Gemara then quotes other opinions in Usha by Rav Yishia. They said, no, it works as follows. Somebody who had an emission by accident does not even need 9 kavin at all. Somebody who had an emission on purpose, for him 9 kavin works. So Rabbi Yosef said, well, then that fixes Rabbi Nachman's vessel. So the Gemara says, hold on a second. This whole machlokes as to whether it works for somebody who had an emission on purpose, or it's not needed except for somebody who had an emission on purpose. Ezra made up this takana. Let's see what Ezra's takana was. Who was it for? So Gemara gives a couple of reasons why we can't figure it out based on Ezra's takana. It says Ezra's takana was for a healthy person. He said that 40 saw is for a healthy person who had an emission on purpose. 9 kavan is for a healthy person who had an emission by accident. The machlokes over here is by a sick person. Is it the same rules for somebody who's not healthy? Or is it one level lower rules, and somebody who's not healthy and had an accidental emission does not need 9 kavan at all, only somebody who had an emission on purpose, and for him 9 kavan is enough. Rava sets up the question similarly, but Rava notes that Ezra was not mitaking the 9 kavan at all. That was a later takana of the Rabbanon, but the question remains the same. It was originally set up for somebody who was healthy. The question is, somebody who is sick, does he have the same standards, or he can have one level lower halachos? The Gemara concludes that Rava says that the halacha is that a healthy person who had an emission on purpose and a sick person who had an emission on purpose goes into 40 saw. A healthy person and a healthy person who had an emission by mistake needs 9 kavan, and a sick person who had an emission by mistake does not need anything at all. The Gemara now quotes a brisa which brings a machlokas about this subject as to what 9 kavan works for. And the Gemara has a machlokas amiraim on each of the 2 opinions in the brisa. So the first opinion in the brisa is that 9 kavan only works for somebody who's planning to learn and daven to himself. Somebody who's planning to teach others needs 40 saw. On that, as a machlokes of Yochanan and Rishua ben Levi, the Gemara is not sure who says what, as to whether that's talking about somebody who is sick for sure, but somebody who had a seminal emission on purpose or by mistake. One opinion says that it's only for somebody who had it on purpose, but by mistake, 9 kavan is enough even to teach others. The other one says no, teaching others always requires 40 saw, according to this opinion. The second opinion in the brisa is Rabbi Yehuda, who says that you always need 40 saw, and 9 kavan never works. And on that, there's a machlokes between Rabbi Loza and Rabbi Chanina as to whether he's talking about tefillah in the ground or tefillah in a kli. Can you have a big swimming pool, an above ground swimming pool that's filled with 40 saw? Is that enough or not? So the Gemara says that's the machlokes. We don't know who says what, but those are the 2 opinions. And the Gemara says, hold on a second. If you look carefully at Rabbi Yehuda's words in the brisa, he said 40 saw mikol makam, 40 saw in any circumstance. That seems to indicate even if it's in a kli, even if it's not on the ground. He says no, mikol makam, he meant even drawn water, even not natural rainwater, not spring water. It can even be water that somebody filled up by hand, which generally doesn't work for tefillah. Now the Gemara quotes an incident. Rav Papa, Rav Huna ben Rav Yeshua, and Rava Bar Shmuel were breaking bread together, and it came time to bench, and they each wanted to say that they should be the one to lead the Brachos Hamazon, be mighty everybody else, because of their high level of tefillah for Keri. Rav Papa said, I should be the one because I had 9 kavan poured on me. Rav Bar Shmuel said, I should be the one because I had 40 saw poured on me. And we know that, like we saw in the brisa, you're not allowed to do tefillah for others unless you had 40 saw. And then the Gemara says that the third one, Rav Huna said, I should be the one because I didn't have Keri at all. So I didn't need any tefillah at all. The Gemara quotes that Rav Chama would go to the mikveh special on Erev Pesach when he wanted to say the bracha for everybody else to be mighty the others because of this halacha, and the Gemara again says the halacha is not like him. The Rishonim seem to conclude that halachas are Yehuda ben Seira, that the mitzvah of tefillah is a great inyan, tefillah for Keri before learning, but it is not obligatory, and that seems to be the widespread custom today. This ends the sugya of Keri as far as this Mishnah is concerned, and now we have another Mishnah, which again continues with halachas of Keri. So the Mishnah begins with a piece that we've seen before. Somebody who's in the middle of Shemona Esrei and remembers he's about Keri shouldn't stop the Shemona Esrei. He should shorten it. Rashi says he should shorten each bracha. Somebody who is close to the edge of Zman Kriya Shema, he has to say it quickly. If he has time to go into the mikveh and come out and get dressed, he should. If not, he should go into the mikveh and cover himself with the water and say Kriya Shema in the water. One must be covered. One may not say Kriya Shema with one's flesh exposed. Now the Gemara says, what if the water was smelly water? So you should not say Kriya Shema in smelly water. Then the Gemara, the Mishnah continues and says that somebody who is near or relative to urine must pour water in it until the smell is diluted. The Gemara will explain how much. And then the Gemara says, how far do you have to go away from something smelly like excrement? The Gemara says it has to be 4 amos away. The Mishnah says it has to be 4 amos away. The Gemara opens its comments on this Mishnah by quoting a similar brisa. Somebody who was in the middle of tefillah and he remembered his bal carried. The brisa says he should rush through the brachos and shorten them. Somebody who's in the middle of laning, the Gemara says, should mumble his way through it quickly. Rabbi Meir says not more than 3 psukim. And the Gemara brings another brisa that says somebody was in the middle of tefillah and he saw that there is excrement in front of him, should move. How far? The Gemara says until it's 4 amos behind him. The Gemara says, why can't it be on the side where he can't see it? The Gemara says, okay, that's if it's impossible to move 4 amos beyond it. Then the Gemara says that the tefillah that he said, even though there was excrement there and it was forbidden for him to say it, still counts. Rava says it's not true, it's toyeva. And the Gemara quotes another brisa that says if somebody was in the middle of tefillah and he felt liquid flowing out of his body, so he should stop until the flow stops, and then he should continue. Where should he continue from? One says go back to the beginning of Shemoneh Esrei, and one says he can continue where he left off.